Yo, what's going on, you guys, and welcome back to the Anime Plus podcast. This is your podcast for everything anime and anime related. Today's episode, me and Owen, your co-hosts, are going to be talking about the One Piece live action. We finally got around to talking about it, so that's what we'll be doing for this episode. But before we get started, Owen, I have a question for you, bro. What's Dropclick, bro?
What's Dropclick? So Dropclick is a brand me and my brother started. Actually launched last week, but we're basically a brand based on desk setups. At the moment, we sell mousepad and keycaps, but in general, we're trying to basically be the one-stop shop for desk setup products, desk setup information, and desk setup inspiration, basically. Um, as of now, there's a lot of people getting into gaming. There's people working from home. There's students, and pretty much desk setups are like a staple in everybody's household now. Just like how before the TV was in one, there was one TV in a household, and then there's two, three, like then it became a staple. It's the same way where before it was like there was one base, maybe one computer for every like three houses. Now it's like every single house has a desk setup. So if you're looking to upgrade your desk setup, customize it in a way you want, we have a couple different mousepad collections, a couple different keycap collections, and the good thing about it is that they mix and match, so you can get matching sets to customize your setup in a like themely fashion, basically. But yeah, that's pretty much sums up Dropclick, and I would appreciate if you guys supported. Um, use use code Anime Plus for 10% off, and you know, transform your setup. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about it.
Facts. All right, word, bro. I'm sure everyone will appreciate that, bro. Real talk. I got like a bootlegged setup, bro, and the mouse pad, bro. That shit makes my stuff look pretty good. I'm not gonna lie, bro. So I appreciate that, Owen. But
No, I appreciate you, dog. Now we're gonna do a collab with Anime Plus and Dropclick, and we are going to basically vitalize both of our setups, and it's gonna be insane. But that's a future project, and we're definitely gonna get into that for sure.
all right, yo, let's get back to this pod, bro. Owen, so
Let's get it, yo.
before you got into it, before we even watched anything of One Piece, when we got the trailer, even before that, when I told you that One Piece is getting live action, your initial reaction was, "Yo, this shit is gonna be ass. It's gonna be terrible, bro." And you were hated on it for weeks and weeks and weeks.
Low key, I can't deny that. I cannot deny that.
How you feeling now, bro? First thought, straight up.
So firstly, I want to say I want to take back everything I said about the live action. Okay, they did a really, really, really good job. I just thought they wouldn't. It really caught me off guard. Like everything caught me off guard, from the like the way they shot, the way they filmed, the characters, the way all the characters spoke, and how the story progressed from Luffy to meeting all the characters to defeating Arlong. Everything was just like it was a masterpiece, and I didn't expect them to adapt it that well. Like my whole thing is that anime is very cartoonish. It's very, especially with Luffy, it's very goofy. It's like his powers are kind of stretchy. It's very hard to replicate those type of powers, and I know right now it's like the powers aren't too crazy, so they can replicate it. But every power we've seen so far that they've replicated has been elite. Every character that they replicated to this point has been good. Like Buggy, the way they portrayed his devil fruit, it was elite. Kuro, how they gave him a big hand and he was doing that eye thing, like the classic Kuro
Yeah,
eye,
yeah. You push up his glasses with his
the
palm.
glass, yeah, the glasses. Like they really made every character so well and so like close to the story. Obviously, there's some parts where they stray off from the story and they make their own adaptation. I mean, to some people, that might be a negative, but to me, I get why they do that, and I understand it, and it's fine that they do that because you can't fit all of that information into 8 episodes. It's like they put how many episodes of the anime was it? Like they put a good
Roughly
portion.
50, if I'm not wrong.
How many?
Roughly like 40-ish to 50.
Yeah, it's like 40 to 50 episodes in 8 episodes it's a lot. It's a lot, and we did not miss like any details about any of the characters. We got pretty much everything, but I mean, what are your initial thoughts?
All right, so kind of like what you said, bro. Obviously, it's not going to be a perfect adaptation just because, it's very difficult to turn an anime into live action. And for all the ones out there, this has to be hands down the best live action for an anime. And on top of that, I kind of had high expectations just because it's One Piece, one of the goated franchises of literally not just of all of anime, but literally of all franchises that you can think of. It's one of the best out there, and obviously Oda was behind it, and obviously Netflix, another big partner, was behind it. And I had high expectations, but this was honestly a lot higher than I thought it would be. Obviously, with my high expectations, when it comes to live action, there's going to be low expectations. I don't know if that makes sense, but it did a lot better than I had thought it was going to do in my head. And off rip, bro, I'll tell you one thing that did piss me off was the adaptation wasn't exactly like line for line, but at the same time, it kind of was. All right, let me explain this to you. So,
Yeah.
do you remember where certain parts, there's certain characters they cut out, and there's certain times with like, Garp was there like a lot, and Kobe was there a lot.
Yeah, I did not like that. That was one part I hated. Like the
Yeah.
introduction of Garp so early on in the series. It really made no sense. Like I get they're trying to introduce characters, they're trying to introduce Luffy's grandpa, but the whole part of Garp being this, Navy hero, the guy who defeated or captured Gold Roger, the guy who fought rocks with Gold Roger and defeated the strongest pirate group in the world and dismantled them.
Mhm.
Like we hear him as a legend. We hear him not as Luffy's grandpa, but we hear him as a legend more than he's Luffy's grandpa. And later on, like a lot later on, we found out that this is Luffy's grandpa, and it's the fact is all of the characters found out at that same exact time, and it was such a crazy dynamic that Luffy's the king, the pirate, and then his grandpa is literally the dude that um is the worst enemy to the pirates. It's like a dynamic that we should not have seen this early, and it kind of killed it. That part definitely killed it.
So that's the first point I was making is there's certain parts where I thought that they should have, went heavily towards the actual adaptation, you know what I mean? Uh,
Yeah,
However, there's a second part that I didn't really think about until I did a pod recently on a different podcast. And I was kind of making the same argument that it was kind of the part that pissed me off, that, they would just go off and start their own thing in the live action. But apparently in the manga, it was very similar to the live action. One example that you might know, so in the anime, Zeph, he lost his leg to an anchor, but in the manga, he ate his own leg. So that's like a clear-cut example of that.
yeah,
Apparently, also in the manga, Garp and Kobe and Helmeppo, like you see them train a lot. And I guess that's something that I don't remember really in the anime. I don't think it was in the anime that much. Like it was kind of off screen. So that's kind of, I guess they were a lot more loyal to the adaptation than I give them credit for. I guess it had a lot to do with the manga than the anime adaptation. But also, that aside, some of the frame by frames were literally the same as they were in the anime. Zoro battling Mihawk was very similar, same quote, same style, same everything. Even when the four Sanji, Luffy, Zoro, and Usopp were walking out to fight Arlong, they had the same exact scene by scene cut frame, which was just absolute fire. I went back to show my wife it because obviously I think the anime is a lot better than live action. And I was like, yo, oh shit, this is literally the same exact thing. Like they even split the four frames into four, and that's exactly what they did
yeah,
in the anime. And I was like, damn, that's crazy, bro. But yeah, man.
bro. Yeah, that hour long walk was deadly, bro. That's one of the that's one of my most favorite introductions to the group. You know how they always reveal themselves whenever they're versing an enemy. I think this introduction was one of the best for me, and it was because of how everything played out. Where like Luffy doesn't even know what the fuck is going on. He's literally just like, I'm gonna save you, Nami, and then he goes like, boys, like basically he's like, boys, let's go. And then you hear the music, the classic One Piece, hype music, and then it's so badass because even Usopp looks badass, and Usopp never looks badass, bro. And yeah, I agree with you completely with the way they adapted that part. I really did not think they were going to adapt that part well because that part really has a special place in my heart because it was like the first time where like Luffy was like, all right, that's it. fuck this shit. I'm gonna kick his ass. That's it. Like, no more questions, no nothing. I'm just gonna kick his ass because I know he's hurting you, right? The amount of hype, the amount of like intensity behind the scene, they really did a good job adapting that. And I mean, they did a really good job adapting like all the characters, like every single like not every single character, but mostly every character was pretty accurate. And actually like so I saw a huge difference when I watched it when I watched the live action, and it's kind of because of my age. When I started One Piece, it was like 10 years ago. So I was like a teenager, and I didn't like the whole slavery aspect and all the political nonsense of it. It didn't really affect me that much, you know what I mean? Like I didn't really pay attention to that aspect of the story
Me
as
too.
much.
Me too.
But then like this time when I watched it, I was like, yo, these fishmen are low key like they deserve some rights, you know what I mean? So I really like it changes your perspective. And I want to talk about this later because I know this is a perspective that we're both gonna have. And it's a question that I always ask people. It's like, what is one anime that you'd rewatch, right? If you kind of wipe your memory. And for me, that's always One Piece. And I think this is kind of like the closest thing to it, where like because even though it's the same story, right? I know the story, I know what's happening, but they changed the story in a way where like it is kind of different. You are seeing something kind of new. Essentially, it's not new because you know the story, but the way they adapt it, it's kind of new. And seeing it from a different lens, seeing it from an older lens, from someone that's more mature now, like the story gets even crazier. It's like, yeah, it's just wild, honestly.
Facts. No, 100%. I mean, that's literally what you said, bro. Like it's on point, bro. And I think that's one of the reasons why it's so successful. I actually got a question for you.
Yeah.
Why do you think that this live action was successful compared to some of the other live actions? I'll go, you go, and then I'll go.
Okay. So honestly, I don't really watch any other live actions, so I can't say anything about other live actions, but I can say say my thoughts about why I think this one, kind of did well. And I think it's because firstly, like it was on Netflix, right? Netflix, the fact that it's on Netflix and it was on Netflix, the top of Netflix for a while, like that persuades a lot of people to watch it. That's one thing. Secondly, One Piece is an anime that so many people know about but don't start because it's very long. Like there's no other reason. Like that's the biggest reason that people don't watch One Piece. Like people watch One Piece, like people that criticize One Piece normally have never watched it, right? And it's because it's too long and they can't get into it. And the fact that this gave them the chance to kind of get into it without having to commit to 1,000 episodes, but they could only commit to 8. I think that kind of invited people to come in and enjoy the show and see what the hype is about, because every single One Piece fan, and this is including me for sure, we market One Piece to every single person possible. And everyone, like if you hear it that many times, you're obviously curious about how good the show is. And I think this is like a trailer, like a free trial for watching One Piece, and it did a great job. It did a great job, and that's why it was successful. That's why it was on Netflix for so long. So that's one aspect where I think it grabbed new people and it brought in new traffic, but it also resonated with all the like OG fans because of how they adapted the episodes. It was adapted so well. It was so closely to the manga. Every like the way the characters were, they adapted their personalities very well. Like honestly, I don't even like Usopp that much as a character in the anime. Like he's funny and whatnot, but he's not really one of my favorite characters. But I promise you, in this live action, Usopp might have been my favorite character just because of his personality, how funny he was, and the way he just the way he holds himself. It's funny throughout. Um, but that's why I think it did well. It's because it appealed to new people and it really did well and hit home with all the OG fans basically.
That's fair. I mean, I agree with you pretty much on every single one of the points that you made. I'm gonna actually elaborate on the last part that you did, but let me give you my points of why it was so successful, in my opinion. First of all, Oda the GOAT, bro, he was supervising it. And obviously, like you said before, Netflix. So when those two collab and Oda said that he ain't gonna put it out unless it's gonna be like under his um satisfaction, you already know that was gonna be good, or else it wouldn't be coming out. You know what I mean?
Facts,
That's the
facts.
first thing. Second thing, bro, it's fucking One Piece. The storyline is not gonna change no matter how bad you make it look or how bad you adapt it. It's One Piece, bro. One Piece is goated. So it's literally gonna be good. You know what I mean? And then,
Storyline wise, you can't beat that. Like
exactly,
there's no way you're beating One
exactly.
Piece. It does not matter. But yeah,
And then the third thing is I feel like everyone was bought in. Not only were obviously Oda was there, Netflix was there, but the actors and the writers, apparently they were all One Piece fan or anime fans. Not all of them were One Piece fans, of course. But Emily Rudd, who played Nami, she was a big anime fan. She said that in one of her interviews that she always wanted to act like in a live action for an anime. And obviously a lot of these actors like Usopp. I know in one of the things he was about to give a big spoiler for One Piece. So that just kind of goes to show that they actually watch One Piece. They're not just acting for the hell of it. They actually enjoy it, and I feel like that really helped bring this to life. You know what I mean? So obviously, the Luffy that you want to see, a lot of us want to see is like a badass guy that beats the shit out of people, Kaido and whatnot. But at the same time, the actor Inaki, the guy that played Luffy, he did it so well. He played that goofy role, but also he brought that part to life. You know what I mean? And I just feel like the writers and the actors just did everything that they could to make it perfect. Now I feel like that's one of the biggest reasons why it was so successful.
yeah. I mean, you brought up a really good point about the actor for Luffy. Luffy as a character, it's very hard to replicate being very goofy, but being very serious. And I think the way they handled the contrast of him being very serious with Nami, him being very serious when um Arlong kind of attacked Baratier, those serious moments, it really felt like Luffy was like in character for that. It's very hard to go from goofy to that serious, and the characters really did an outstanding job with everything. When it comes to character specifics, I really like Zoro was just depicted so well. Like he was such a badass straight from the beginning. Like the first scene where he kills off Mr. Seven. I think I don't know. I know that Mr. Seven dies. You know, I know that that all happened. I don't know if they showed that in the anime. Right? They didn't show
Don't
that in
think
the.
they did at all, but it might be one of those things where, again, like I was on that pod and that dude who apparently is a big One Piece diehard fan was telling me that a lot of the stuff that was in there that we don't really remember from the anime has actually happened in the manga. So I'm assuming that that would be under that umbrella. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so that would be my best guess. If not, I mean, I feel like it
I,
would, 'cause that's a pretty good way to start off the series, to be honest, right?
yeah, no, I mean, I do believe I heard it in the anime before, in the manga before. I didn't read the manga, but then probably saw a TikTok or YouTube video regarding this, and the fact that they added it to the live action, amazing. The fact that like the sword play and everything, like the sword play was so amazing in that scene too, where they were just clashing, and to show that like he was such a low level opponent, like Zoro really didn't draw out his sword. He was just fighting from like within his sheets. Like he wasn't really even taking out his swords, and then he just sliced him right at the end. And it was like the way they kind of shot that scene. It was so good. Every the way they filmed the whole thing, like the shots they took, the cinematics and everything, it
Mhm.
reminded me of Game of Thrones. Like the way they do their stuff, where it's like so cinematic. Um, the size of everything is huge. They show you like the whole world, um, from a very wide angle. And I think Luffy, not Luffy, like One Piece live action did that like extremely well. Everything was edited to perfection. Even like Luffy stretching, the way they showed his arm stretch back and then um you know punch somebody in the face, it was very realistic looking, and it wasn't like so fake where like it didn't look fake at all. Obviously, it's a devil fruit. We can all comprehend that, but it wasn't like they really, I can't say animated. They really filmed it in a very good way. But yeah,
Facts.
that's what I gotta say about that.
It's fair. Let's break it down this way. So obviously for cinematography and cinematics, whatever, I'd say me and you both say, it did well. It did good, right?
Really well, like extremely well.
Okay, let's move on to the next part then. What do you think of the sound effects and the music?
Sound sound effects and music. So honestly, I liked all the music and sound effects. I think the one criticism I can give is they should have used more of the original One Piece anime
Uh,
sounds.
well,
What do you think about that?
if I was straight up like just chilling watching the show and then they did that the for example the walk to Arlong Park and then
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the exact situation I'm thinking
bro,
about too.
that shit just came out, bro. Bro, I would start bumping to that, bro, because that would be literally amazing, bro. That's what they needed, bro. um
Yeah, if they had the original music, that would have been crazy. Like that's the one thing I was like thinking about during that situation, during when I was watching that scene, I was like, bro, if they just put that music, this would have been 100 times better. Even though it's really, really good, if they put that, the nostalgia factor that that sound brings, because they've been playing that sound every time there's a hype moment in like all the episodes in One Piece. So we're so used to that sound, we're so programmed to that sound
mhm.
that it literally brings a good cheerful vibe whenever you hear it. So it's like if they put that music, some of that music, some like One Piece has a couple soundtracks that we're all kind of used to. If they added those soundtracks to the actual, live action, I think that would have been better. That's my minus when it comes to sound and music. But like obviously some of the characters I don't like how they sound, like Luffy. I don't like how he sounds a bit, but you can't really like. It's not. It's a con, but it's not something you can really. It's not like I can really justify my complaints about that. It's a character. He did everything else perfect to the T. So it's like I'm not gonna give him any complaints for his voice because that's his natural voice.
Mhm.
But other than that, I think the sound was amazing. They really could have just added more of the one One Piece sounds. What do you think about them adding like One Piece sound effects like Shanks's hockey or like
Did
how
it?
Shanks I don't remember. I don't think so. I don't think so. Like because Shanks has his own sound effect when it comes to his hockey.
Yeah,
Like everyone has their own Conquer's hockey like sound effect, and Shanks has this really eerie one. And I
I
feel
can
like
hear it in my head because I've watched that scene so many times. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
it's like the ringing, the shing,
Yeah,
like that ringing.
yeah.
But yeah, if they added that, some of the sound effects when it comes to like Luffy's punching, I know this like again, this is a live action and they're trying to make it as realistic to the laws of physics as possible when it comes to the sounds. But if they added some of the sound effects when it came to like the punching and all that of the anime, it might have been good. Honestly, I can't really say for sure that it would have been good, but that's something as a One Piece fan I would not mind seeing at all.
It's fair. I mean, one thing for me for sure is obviously if they had the same soundtrack. Sound effects, I feel like I can go without. They did pretty well. You can even hear like the rubber stretching and whatnot. Other than that, I don't really think that the sound effects were that bad. I mean, I would like to see how it'd be with all that happening, but I don't think it was terrible without it. I feel like to me that's something that's in the background. But okay, so we got sound effects, we got music. What about special effects?
Special effects like the way they use the devil fruits and all that.
Yeah, or also even how that sea monster came up.
I mean, this is the point where this is the one thing that I thought they were going to do really bad on. Like I really thought they were like this is very hard to do because anime has like so many special effects and it's animation, so you can just draw anything you want. You can't really do that with real life and CGI. But the way they added sea monsters, the way like even Arlong looked, all the fishmen looked. Everything was so nice. Like everything, like it wasn't like an eyesore, you could
Right.
say. Like everything was depicted so well,
Mhm.
and even the things that weren't real life were depicted extremely well. Like his super speed, Kuro's super speed, the way
Yeah.
they showed Kuro's super speed, like it's very hard to replicate super speed like that, and it just showed like they adapted it so well because you couldn't really catch him, and Luffy had kind of like he had trouble fighting him because of the speed, and his speed was very apparent. Obviously, that's his power. That's his like main power, and they portrayed that power excellently.
Yeah.
In terms of special effects, though, generally like it was amazing. Um, they did everything. Like I really can't give. I could give more examples, but I could go on and on.
Yeah,
They
no,
did they did everything like super well.
yeah, I agree. They did everything that they could to make it the best that it could be. You know what I mean? I don't think this day and age they could have done better. So I agree with that. Special effects I thought were pretty solid. This is just kind of a random thought that just popped into my head. But did you like what they did with Usopp? I feel like they did him dirty, bro.
What do you mean? What
For
no
his
nose?
for
No
his
nose?
part of joining the
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
bro,
yeah.
he did one thing. He shot like one bullet, and that was like his only thing that he did. In the
Yeah,
end, obviously he stood up to them. He actually did something. You know what I mean?
yeah, I think Usopp, his fighting power and ability was very lackluster. You could say is they really didn't show any shots. They didn't show any. He barely shot anything. He beat the. I mean, obviously, depict from the adaptation of the story, he was running away from the fishman the whole fight. But I think there was still more of a fight than just him throwing that one thing at him. I don't remember too clearly, but I feel like they didn't really show him too much as a warrior.
Yeah,
His character was more of a gag comedy personality type character more than him
exactly.
being kind of useful to the team. I didn't really see him actually. They didn't really probably get to that part where he kind of helps build a ship. In the beginning, he was very attached to the ship, and he always used to fix it. Always used to look after it. If anyone did anything, kind of dumb, Usopp would have. Usopp was like the shipwright at that time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, they did kind of downplay his fighting ability. I'm not saying that Usopp is a warrior or anything. I just think that if he's part of the Straw Hat crew, he should be able to, and he is. He does, you know, fight. He really didn't in the live action. But yeah,
So here's I guess my problem with the live action, just a small part here. So I watched with my wife who has never watched One Piece. So obviously I know exactly what's gonna happen, what's supposed to happen, how the characters are supposed to be depicted, but she doesn't, or anybody else that doesn't watch an anime, the anime doesn't. So to her, she probably thinks that Usopp, she told me straight up, she's like, Usopp's useless. And I was like, not really. He actually brings value to the team, even though he basically is a wimp, or he's not as strong as Zoro or Sanji. You know what I mean? So I had to kind of explain that part. I also had to kind of explain to her that like how Sanji is, because she was really liking Sanji as a character. I'm like, nah, you don't know Sanji. If you knew the real enemy Sanji, you would not be taking his side right now. Um, they also didn't show too much of the Zoro over Sanji beef. You know what I mean? Like I feel like some of the depictions of the characters aren't exactly how they were supposed to be depicted. Although, like, it wasn't terrible, but also it's the first season, things are gonna grow on. It's gonna take a little bit, but I don't really mind all that. It's just kind of they did Usopp dirty, bro. Like I kind of like Usopp in the anime, and they did my boy dirty straight up. One scene, that's it, bro. That's crazy.
they did him dirty in terms of the warrior aspect. I'm not gonna
Yeah,
lie. In terms of firepower, they did him dirty. They did him really well in terms of comedy, though.
yeah,
He's
100%. Yeah,
the way he fit in with all the jokes, all the stories, acting like he was, a brave warrior of the sea.
yeah,
Whenever they would go to like a new place, he would, brag about being this, crazy dude that's been on endless adventures and whatnot. That's typical Usopp. That's the Usopp we know and love. I think they nailed his character personality down, but you're right. Like his fighting power was very lackluster. Hopefully next season, he gained some abilities and some stuff happened. But I think they gave Nami too much power.
bags, bro. She was clapping people off rip, bro. Like she was beating them. I was like, I don't remember this.
Bro, she was that that was the first thing I kind of like took into account when it came to Nami. Like it felt like the way they portrayed it was like she was equally messing up all the enemies as much as Zoro and Luffy, which is which is definitely not, what she did in the anime at all.
Mhm.
Uh but I mean they need to show her powers off, but I think I think there should always be that kind of separation between Zoro and then Luffy and Nami. Like there's always that separation.
Right. Like I know she could handle herself in the beginning, but like the way she was like beating up people with her staff, I just felt like that wasn't that realistic. But yeah, before we end, real talk, would you recommend this to somebody that hasn't watched anime? Because I feel like that's a big point of emphasis of this live action.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, One Piece is 1,000 episodes long. It's very hard to get into. I think for older people that don't give One Piece a chance and just say, "Oh, it's bad because it's long," just just watch this. Just watch this live action, and if you like it, just watch One Piece afterwards. That's it. I'm not gonna consider you a real One Piece fan, and you should never consider yourself a real One Piece fan if you're doing it that way. But um if you really want to start watching One Piece and you think it's too long, literally watch live action. If that suits you and if you like the storyline, you like the characters, you like the plot, literally watch One Piece and thank me later.
Facts. All right, yo. And luckily, we're getting season 2 very soon. Again, we go over all the news on our other side of the podcast, which we do every single Thursday. So make sure you guys check that out. Other than that, make sure you guys join our Discord. We go over a lot of cool shit there. We hang out, we chill. We're doing another game night very soon. Oh, and I don't even know if you know about this, but we're probably gonna play on Monday. Minecraft, I think we're gonna do.
I'm down. Low key, I'm down if it's not Dead by Daylight. Low key, I am ass at that game, but other than that, I'm down. I'm down. But yeah.
Yeah, you guys definitely pull up to our Discord. The link will be in the description, as well as the link to Owen's website, Dropclick. Make sure you guys check it out and use code Anime Plus. I'm telling y'all right now, game changer, life changer, style, comfort, everything is there. I don't even know y'all's logo like that, but trust me, all that shit's there, bro, for sure. But yeah, with that being said, we'll catch you guys in the next pod. Peace.
Peace.